like to thank the Ward 6 Democrats for having us and for all of you for coming out tonight.
Who are the candidates?
This is Claire Sokoloff. I was just about to say
Olivia
that.
Matthews.
So I'm Claire Sokoloff, and I am the Ward 6 school rep right now, and this is Olivia Matthews.
Thank you.
Who is running also for Ward 6 School Committee. Okay? So, again, I'm Claire Sokoloff. I'm running for my third term to Ward 6 School Committee. I'm currently School Committee Vice Chair and co-chair of the Superintendent Search. My husband, Rob Gifford, and I have lived in Newton for 23 years. We have 3 children. 2 have gone through the Newton Public Schools and are currently in college, and 1 is a sophomore at Newton South. I bring to the school committee a background and expertise in innovation and organizational change. After receiving my PhD in organizational behavior from Yale, I was a partner for many years at Synectics, an international innovation consulting firm. My practice focused on helping senior leaders to reposition their companies for success in a changing world. And this is the background, the expertise, and the perspective through which I approach my work with the Newton Public Schools. I have been a K-12 parent leader for the last 12 or so years, having served as PTO president at Bowen and Oak Hill and as school council chair at Newton South. And at each of these levels, I've applied my creative problem-solving and innovation consulting background to help educators, parents, and students work together to solve thorny school problems and to make exciting new things happen in our schools. I ran for school committee 4 years ago out of passion for the schools and concern. I was frustrated by the year-after-year shaving of programs without a clear vision for why we were doing what we were doing and the rationale for the cuts. I saw a need for long-term educational and financial planning. So on the school committee, I have spent a lot of time working on a strategic plan for our schools that Superintendent Marini has heralded as giving him a great framework for moving our school system forward and making the fiscally sound decisions that he needs to move our system to the 21st century. We have wonderful goals and objectives for this plan, updating the core curriculum with creativity and critical thinking, giving teachers more planning time and the skills to deal with diverse children in their classrooms, university partnerships, private fundraising, online learning, and program evaluation and multi-year financial planning. I'm excited about the change in Newton to be part of it, and I ask for your vote on November 3rd so that I can continue the work that I've been doing on the school committee. Thank you.
You don't mind if I stand for it? Oh, no. Okay. Hi, I'm Olivia Matthews, and I'm going to use my 2.5 minutes to tell you 3 things. First, why I'm running for school committee. Second, my background and experience. And third, a couple quick examples of things that I'd like to do differently from the current school committee. So, first, can you raise your hand if you know how many school committee members are elected? Oh. Ken in the back.
8 plus the mayor serves ex officio.
Thank you. Okay, now raise your hand if you can tell how many of those 8 school committee members have ever worked in an elementary, a middle, or a high school as either a teacher or an administrator.
0.
And?
0.
0. That's what really motivated me to want to run for school committee. My background, for those of you who've noticed the Olivia yard signs that say elect an educator, is working in education for 14 years. And that brings me to number 2 in my presentation. Number 2 is I've been a classroom teacher. I've taught 4th grade, primarily math and science. I've been an assistant principal in Cambridge. And I founded a children's literacy organization, and I was the executive director. And we grew a program from nothing to where there are over 1,000 volunteers today who read one-on-one with kids in school systems in Chelsea, Billerica, Waltham, Everett, and Lynn, and they go in and read one-on-one to a child at lunch each week at no cost to the school systems. So I feel that, and I have 1 minute, I feel that knowing the difference between policy and how it translates into practice, there's sometimes a disconnect, and I would like to help the school committee so that during the discussions, the implications of the policy decisions can really be talked about in a very concrete way. So number 3, a couple quick examples of things that I would like to see done differently. Number 1, we Currently, for those of you who may not know, our kindergartners only go until 12:30 on 3 days a week. They don't have all-day kindergarten. 75% of Massachusetts communities have decided that full-day kindergarten gives the children a better start. I believe that this would be a practice that Newton should adopt because it will lower our costs in the long run. If the kids have more instructional time now, then they will be less likely to need special services in first and second grade and beyond. Another example is the early release days. Along the same lines, we decided to, the school committee added 6 early release days on Thursdays. And my question is, what do we get for the $4.2 million that I figured out we're spending to pay the teachers when the kids aren't there? I'd like to see more specific goals where the outcomes are easily explainable to the public. Thank you.
Olivia, will begin with you.
Okay.
Some parents remember the golden days of the Newton Public Schools.
Oh,
Maybe you can't hear. Some parents remember the golden days of the Newton Public Schools and believe that since that time, the schools have been constantly losing their excellence. Is this true? And if so, how would you reverse this trend? Did everybody hear? Okay.
I think there are many wonderful things about the Newton Public Schools. My husband and I have 3 kids, and we moved here, like many families, in large part for the schools. So starting with that, I'll say that there's a lot that's right about the Newton Public Schools. Do I think there's room for improvement? Yes. In what areas? Well, one of the areas we talked about before was the math curriculum in the elementary schools. The specific curriculum that we've been using for 10 years. Margaret mentioned that it spirals, but she didn't mention that it doesn't teach the traditional algorithms like long division, never gets taught in the current math curriculum. I believe that we need to take a hard look and try something else and see if we get better results. That's one example. How much time do I have?
1 minute and 17 seconds.
Okay, so I could give another example. I think we don't actually know because we don't do a good enough job of measuring what you have to start, like a good teacher starts a lesson plan with. What are the outcomes I want for the students? So as a district, we need to say, what are the outcomes we want? And then measure if we're getting there. We don't do surveys of parents on a regular basis. We don't do surveys of teachers on a regular basis. I'd really like to see that because I think that's information that can help us strengthen the schools.
Claire?
I've heard as well claims that our schools are in decline, and I don't think that they are. I certainly do think that there, as Olivia says, I certainly think there's room for improvement. But I would like to start by saying I think that we have an excellent school system. Children get a wonderful education, are extremely well prepared for the world beyond, and families are continuing to move to Newton for our excellent schools. That said, we have many, many challenges. We have a changing world that our students are entering, and we need to update, revise, revamp the curriculum in order to truly prepare our children for the world that they're entering. We also have declining resources from the state and a cap with Prop 2.5, and the diminishing resources that we're operating with requires us to be creative, innovative, and to use new thinking, resourcefulness, and fiscally responsible practices to make sure that we live within our means. So I think that we have a wonderful school system. I think it can be better. I think that the strategic plan that we're working on has us really taking a look at our curriculum and infusing it with, as I said, creativity, critical thinking, and the skills that will prepare our kids for the world that they are entering. We are also working on helping to prepare our teachers better for the very diverse challenges that they are facing in the classroom and the stresses that are on them. They are asking for more collaborative planning time. This is something that we are starting to really introduce into our elementary schools. And I believe that the more that we bring technology, that we bring public-private partnerships into the schools, the more we're going to be able to enliven our schools and make our education relevant for our children and prepare our children best for the world that they will be entering.